What's going on, guys? Bengal again here, live on twitch.tv/Bengal for the Falcons franchise offseason stream. We do it every offseason of every franchise. And of course, as you're seeing now on YouTube, these videos are uploaded after. We had a very interesting season one, going under 500, yet still making the playoffs. A rarity, for sure, but it's what happened. And not only did we make the playoffs, we were able to go on an extended run into the playoffs where we were able to just crush the Niners in the wild card on the back of a couple of really nice kick return touchdowns. And then we went on into the divisional and we lost a heartbreaker at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles. If you have not seen this episode, I would recommend watching it. But it's amazing we were even in that game when we were completely outdone on offense, allowing nearly 500 passing yards and 150 rushing yards. We had a big lead. I recognize that. But the Eagles just turned it on. They got an onside kick. And then as soon as they made it a one-possession game, it was pretty much over. We were outscored 21-6 in the fourth quarter. And if they don't get an onside kick, we obviously win the game pretty easily. And, oh, man, I hate that just extended the series even more. Oh, God, it would have completely stunk. Anyway, so if you didn't see the stats, I think I showed them at the end of the regular season. But Desmond Ridder threw 36 touchdowns. Part of that is because of the overall quarter length. I think I've turned it down by a minute. Part of the reason we allow so many yards and get so many yards is because I think we're getting too many possessions. So I'm going to try and shorten that in season number 2. Bijan Robinson, obviously an incredible season, averaged over 6 yards per carry, 17 touchdowns, broke the NFL rushing yards record, and I think now you're seeing him in real life. He's got some talent. He's pretty incredible. And now it seems like I've been gushing over him for good reason. Kyle Pitts, who I never throw to, had over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Drake London, not too far behind. And then defense, Caden Ellis put it together a monster season. He was close to leading the team in sacks. You just really don't get pressures or sacks in simulation. Or in the game, I should say. It happens more in simulation. It's very frustrating against CPU to not get any pressure at all. But the problem that you get with getting pressure is that the CPU forgets how to move the ball at all, and then you completely crush them. So unfortunately in Madden, there is no happy medium. I have changed the sliders going into season 2, and they are supposed to be very, very, very difficult from where we were. Run blocking is a 24. CPU skill has been moved up. So we are hoping for fun, competitive games, and as the team gets better, hopefully we don't start blowing teams out the way we sometimes did in season 1. But again, we went negative, or under 500. We went 8-9. So some games you're going to get blown out, some games you're going to blow the other team out. I'm looking for a balance. We're not going to overreact from just one game. Everything I do for the sliders is for the betterment of the series, for more competitive games. It's not about showing how good I am. I don't want to win by 50. Sometimes it just happens. So we'll see what happens in 2024, but it's about that time. This video is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, the premier place to play daily fantasy sports, including my favorite mode, Pick'em. If your state is one of these that is listed in orange, you are eligible to play Pick'em. If not, stay tight. They're working to add more states as time passes. And remember to play responsibly. This week on Underdog, they're doing a Tyreek Hill special. It's 100K Sunday. If you take higher or lower on 95.5 total yards, you are entered to win $10,000. There will be 10 winners of a direct injection of 10,000 cash into your Underdog account. Things have been going very well for me lately with big cashes on Monday Night Football. Tonight, they did a special with Freddie Freeman. If you took it, you got a big multiplier. So a 5-man gives you a times 25 with the boost. So I put down $10 and won $250. Absolutely massive. I tweeted this out as well. So people that follow They won alongside me, and I would say give it a shot. Use code BENGAL. You'll get a deposit match up to $100, and I'll be tweeting out more. I'll probably have this weekend's set of picks in a video, so make sure to watch, and let's get back to the video. We have some interesting players. The draft obviously is the focal point of the offseason, and Dante Boston is the biggest part of that. He's just 21 years old. Got great physical skills and attributes, and there's probably no player we want more in the draft. Now, the problem with being successful, and you want to be successful, obviously, but the problem with being successful is you might miss out on a guy like this because we went deep into the playoffs. We will have to trade up if we want him. Otherwise, guess what? This monster defensive end for LSU will not be going east to Atlanta because it's just going to be too difficult to get a player like this when we might have to trade up and trade not only draft picks this year, but next year, potentially trading players. We might have to go all in if we want Dante Boston on our team. So we're going to have to make a decision about whether or not that's actually the best move for the franchise, of course, with the Falcons. And everything we're going to do is to try to make this team better. And we have to decide, does Dante Boston make us better enough that it warrants trading a multitude of picks, losing out on drafting other players that could help this team? We're going to have some tough decisions to make. But I think we are about ready to start making those decisions as we'll simulate the conference championship and see who's going to play in the Super Bowl. The Pro Bowl roster may feature a Falcon or two. We expect to see Bijan Robinson in there, and we do. A couple of young quarterbacks in there, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Bryce Young. We're looking for Falcons, though. We've got one with Bijan Robinson. Might have a tight end in there as well with Kyle Pitts, tight end 2 behind Hayden Hurst. Also, of course, in the NFC South, as is Adam Thielen. I think he had a decent game against us. Offensive line has Chris Lindstrom, who was instrumental in Bijan Robinson running for so many yards. And then defensively, we expect to see Caden Ellis. That's number 1, and there he is. Middle linebacker number 1, Isaiah Oliver. Okay. And then those are the only Falcons. Okay, Super Bowl is the Bills and the Cowboys. That is an interesting matchup, and we do have some upgrades because yearly awards will be out. Let's go ahead and run through these. As Patrick Mahomes wins league MVP, it is a quarterback award, and breaking the rushing yards record in your rookie year makes you finish 9th in MVP, one spot above Derek Carr. Well, there you go. Now, he probably did win Offensive Player of the Year in the NFC, he being Bijan Robinson, and of course he does. Defensive Player of the Year was Aaron Donald, as Caden Ellis finished at number 3. Anyone else for Offensive Player of the Year for the Falcons? No, but that's not a surprise. Bijan obviously wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Jack Campbell. No Falcons in there. And then Best Quarterback, Best Running Back. These aren't really real awards, but they do impact XP, which impacts development. Best O-Lineman would have been nice for Chris Lindstrom to win that. It'd be nice to finish somewhere in here, but how does Caden Ellis finish at 4 behind Shaq Barrett? It's just all pass rushers. That's a really annoying award. Best linebacker goes to a not off-ball linebacker. In the AFC, Mahomes Offensive Player of the Year, Von Miller Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year goes to Rashee Rice, Will Anderson Jr. on the other side. See Burrow, Josh Jacobs, obviously, Keenan Allen, Ted Karras. What? Okay. Von Miller, Max Crosby, Tre'Davious White, Justin Tucker, hook him. Got the... It's somewhere. There we go. It's always flipped. I never account for that correctly. Bijan Robinson, 7 skill points! He is upgraded to Superstar X Factor. He led the NFL in rushing yards, won Running Back of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. What an incredible upgrade for Bijan Robinson. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Obviously made the Pro Bowl, got over 6,000 XP for breaking the season record for rushing yards. And he is about to get upgraded in a monster way. Insane. Insane. We might get to these upgrades later. I'm going to do a couple of receiving back. We have 7 to work with. It's absurd. I want to get receiving back to 85, though. I think that's going to be a big focus because then we can unlock certain things, which is, I think, running back apprentice or backfield mismatch. One of those is quite good. Getting up to bruiser and human joystick also would be quite good. And Bijan Robinson is going to be in the mid-90s in his rookie season, or going into year 2, rather. And I guess at this point, we're probably just going to straight upgrade him. There is a poll running in the chat live. It is 50-50 about whether we should move up in the draft for a player like Dante Boston. 356 votes now for yes, 350 for no. So yes is actually taking the lead here. So we'll have to see what we end up doing. I have not made a decision one way or another. Of course, we're just going to have to see how it goes. But Bijan Robinson, after year 1, is a 94 overall with some very good attributes. Just incredible. His juke move should be a 99. Have you seen him in real life? Guy's unreal. He is on another level. But we will see who wins the Super Bowl here. Bills or Cowboys? Can it be the team that cannot win a Super Bowl or the team that used to win a bunch of them? This is a classic 90s matchup. Bills, Cowboys, and who won it all? The Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen wins Super Bowl MVP. And of course, we already saw the yearly awards, but that is there to refresh your memory, as Bijan is listed twice in yearly awards. Very nice. We have more upgrades as well. Usually it's nobody good here. It's just like practice squad players. I like Davion Nixon coming out of Iowa, by the way. And Perion Winfrey coming out of Oklahoma by way of some community college. Was it Garden City? I don't know if it was, but it's something like that. If I remember correctly. I could be wrong. 2023 retirements. Anyone notable? Case Keenum, Harrison Smith, Ryan Tannehill, Patrick Peterson, and Danico Autry, Cam Hayward, Taysom Hill, Demario Davis. Now, these are actually big retirements within our own division. Linval Joseph was on the Panthers and retired, but those are 2 good players, especially Demario Davis for the Saints. So that's going to be a nice player we don't have to play in 2024 and beyond. Really, really good player, and I'm happy to see him go because he doesn't play on our team, as we will advance to re-signing players. We have a little over 30 mil from that last screen. But who are we actually going to want to re-sign of that bunch? We'll have to see. I don't think it's going to be anyone super impactful because we took care of a lot of these in the regular season. However, we will have to pick up the 5th-year option on Kyle Pitts, and Jeff Okudah denied me. That was the big story last season when we actually tried to re-sign players. Also, of course, Mac Hollins is playing well enough in real life. Not a player I want to keep around. I'm just looking to develop guys. Sammy Watkins is going in the opposite direction, down to a 69 overall. Not so nice. Julio Jones has regressed down to a 73. Justin Ellis is in there, but not really a player I want to keep around. So the question is, do we try and re-sign Jeff Okudah? Of course, going to pick up the 5th-year option on Kyle Pitts. But Jeff Okudah was somebody that played well for us. The question just becomes, how much do we have to pay him for him to actually decide to re-sign? And I don't actually think this is too bad. 6 years might be a little bit too rich. But Jeff Okudah played very well for us. I would do maybe a 5-year deal. I could even increase the money a little bit more than that. This is about $6.5 million annually for Jeff Okudah. That's really not too bad considering how well he played. But he's going to test free agency. Jeff Okudah won't be an Atlanta Falcon next year. That's for sure. That's a tough one. He was somebody who played really well for us, but I guess that just might end up being season 1, played well, and going to get paid. So good for Jeff Okudah. Guess probably going back to Texas. Might see him on the Cowboys, maybe even the Texans. The Combine results are in. Now that we are to free agent week here in free agency week 1, Dante Boston has dropped. There's a new number 1 player. It's Kari Atwater from Vandy. 6'5", 305, 22 years old. He's got elite speed at tackle. That's interesting. Also, elite agility. Kari Atwater from not really a traditional football school, but could be the #1 pick in the draft. He's a big body, and he moves extremely well at that size. Maybe, worth that #1 overall pick. We'll see which team ends up taking him, because it probably won't be us. Probably will not be us. I'll tell you that for free. That's the only little draft nugget I'll give you. Probably won't be drafting Kari Atwater. Now in free agency, Austin Eckler, no real interest. Amari Cooper wants to go to a contender. We could replace one Alabama receiver with another. Julio out, Amari Cooper in. He just wants a lot of money. But receiver is a need for us. Amari Cooper could be at least somebody that we look at. He wants in the neighborhood of 20 mil over 4 years. This would be a pretty big contract for a 30-year-old receiver. But the thing is he's good. Amari Cooper's a really good player. It's just, are we paying for past production? That's one of the things that you have to look at. Because I don't know if we want to just watch him regress. We can't see his progression history, but I'll bet you he's regressing. So it might be best to move on and go a different direction. Mike Williams doesn't really fit what I want. I think he's a little bit too similar to what we have in Drake London. So I don't want that. Josh Allen is here. Not the quarterback. He's got a lot of interest from a lot of teams. He's 27 years old, which is a fine age. It isn't exceptional for development. Not sure that Josh Allen really fits what I want to do. Bobby Wagner's in here. Tommy Townsend. Graham Gano. Gerald Everett is up to superstar development. Now, if you look at our team, obviously there are a number of different positions where we could really use an upgrade, but let's go ahead and dissect it here. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line is pretty good. We could use maybe a center or a guard or even a tackle, but not so badly. We do need a receiver desperately. We have absolutely no depth at receiver at all. Watkins gone, who we signed. Julio gone, who we signed. Didn't bring back Mac Hollins. We have zero depth at receiver. Even if we draft a receiver, we have to sign at least one receiver. Minimum. Defensively, edge is a need. Off-ball linebacker could be a need. Interior defensive line is a need. And corner could be a need. This is the problem that you run into with the Atlanta Falcons, is you got a lot of needs. You can't fill them all at once. So, again, does it make sense to go all the way up and trade for somebody who might be going at #1 or #2 overall when you have so many different needs to fill? That's going to be the big question of this offseason. Do you pass on, the opportunity to take a fantastic player to make the rest of your team better, or you just try to get, a great player when you can get them? Let's look at receiver. Let's see who's interested first and foremost. Donovan Peoples-Jones could be an interesting fit. As a receiver, 2 or 3, that is not the worst idea. Decent speed, obviously really good catching ability. I wish he separated at a better rate. Got decent traits as well. DPJ is somebody that we'll at least keep on our radar. Tim Patrick. We're obviously looking for players who are a little bit younger. Devin Duvernay. Hook him. I wish I had more interest in being here. Everyone's looking for a mentor. We don't have it. We don't have it. You're going to have to deal. DJ Chark, very injury prone. No. Quez Watkins offers a ton of speed. And he is actually going to be the first player that we offer here in free agency. 98 speed. Wants to be here. Just 26 years old. Quez Watkins is somebody that I'm going to offer. Now, you're not going to be able to just go out and get superstar receivers like it's nothing for free, right? We need depth. We need more options. Quez Watkins at least gives us an awesome deep threat. So he's gonna get an offer. Probably no real interest in Jarvis Landry. Jawan Jennings, probably not. Khalif Raymond, another speed guy, but doesn't have too much of it. Oh, Dolphins franchise legend, Preston Williams. Many of you won't remember, Preston Williams was legit. Really, really solid player for us. And I'll give him a deal. We need more receivers. It's not about going and getting the best players in the entire league. It's about filling needs, and that's what we're doing. And Rashid Shaheed could certainly fill a need as well. I don't mean to sound like Dr. Seuss there. He's only got 92 speed, but would be a nice option, and we get to steal him from the Saints. I'll at least put an offer in. And again, I know it seems like these are not awesome players, but we need receivers so badly, so a couple of short-term deals to get some guys in the building, not the worst idea in the world. So that's receiver. Now, we need help on the defensive line, and I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot there. Michael Pierce is a Band-Aid, but maybe one that we want. Might prefer DJ Jones. Saw Poona Ford in there. Can't resist. Hook him. Brandon Graham. Yannick Ngakoue. Dorrance Armstrong Jr. We're going to offer on one of these interior defensive linemen. I want Poona Ford, of course. I think we're going to go ahead and offer on DJ Jones. He does have 3 offers already, and he's more expensive. I'm going to offer on Poona Ford first. My Texas bias is showing. Listen, 2-year deal, bring the money down. He's cheaper, and we don't have to fight anybody for Poona Ford, probably. So, we're at least going to offer on Poona. He's also got a fun name. Undeniable. Josh Allen here. Frankie Louvu. We could also offer Frankie Louvu. Nobody's interested in him. That might be my 5th and final offer of this first window. Frankie Louvu's a good athlete. He's a hybrid outside linebacker. He would work pretty well for us. Let's give Frankie Louvu a 2-year offer. He also likes the idea of being an Atlanta Falcon. I like that. So these are our offers. We have Frankie Louvu, Quez Watkins, Poona Ford, Rashid Shaheed, and Preston Williams. Got to get more depth in there, and I think this at least accomplishes that, and we don't really have a ton of competition for these guys right now. We are the only team offering these 5 players, and we'll see who signs. First one off the board is not Frankie Louvu. Chat, for some reason, was not interested in Frankie Louvu. Oh, just kidding. There he is. Let's go. We got Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu's good. Are you guys sleeping? Frankie Louvu's a good player, and he's a hybrid player. He can rush the passer. He runs fairly well. He's got some hit power. We can drop him back in coverage if we need to. Louvu's a solid player. He's a role player, and he probably will be a starter for us right away. I don't mind that. And at the contract, and he just is coming off a 9-sack season, by the way. It's 2 years. Just over $8 million. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. Now, we can offer on somebody else now. Okuda's here in free agency. Emmanuel Mosley, William Jackson. Used to be quite good. Mike Jackson. CJ Henderson. CJ Henderson, if he sticks around, wouldn't be that bad. Greedy Williams is here. That might be a nice kind of like fallback. I want to offer on Jeff Okuda again. We might bring the money up. I think this is still a pretty favorable deal for Jeff Okuda. He played so well for us last year, and maybe we can come to terms in free agency now. So we're going to offer on him and see how it goes. So that is eval period 3 of 3 now. Panthers are getting in the Poona Ford race. Nobody going after Williams or Shaheed yet. And we have signed and brought back Jeff Okudah. Quez Watkins, welcome to Atlanta as well. Not a bad free agency for us so far. Austin Eckler is headed to Arizona. Amari Cooper to Chicago. How much help does Justin Fields need? Mike Williams to Detroit. All the receivers to the NFC North. Josh Allen to the Texans. B-Wags also to the Lions. Gerald Everett also to the Lions. Byron Jones out of retirement and to the Las Vegas Raiders. Adrian Amos to Philadelphia. Patrick Queen also to Houston alongside Josh Allen. Michael Pierce is going to be a Steeler. Singletary to Minnesota. Terrence Steele to Tennessee. Taylor Lewan back in Tennessee. Levi Wallace to the Vikings. Devin White will join them. It's a nice get for them. Grant Delpit's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Isaiah Rodgers to the Texans as they really try and rebuild their defense. He might be a gamble, though. See if that one pays off. Kendrick Bourne also to Chicago. Noah Fant to Tennessee. Tennessee really going crazy here. I mean, the Lions and the Vikings keep popping up. Cesar Ruiz, Andrew Van Ginkel, Kenneth Murray, Kyle Fuller. The Lions, Titans, Raiders, Steelers, Texans, these teams are going crazy. Baker Mayfield to Washington. Very interesting. So that is week 1. That is week 1. I think we did fairly well there. We got better. I think we made some pretty good contracts as well. Like, not really paying anyone too much. Not really locked in super long term. I'm pretty happy with where we are on those. And we do only have 10 mil in available salary cap. So let's see where that's even going. So right now we would save money by moving Grady Jarrett or Jake Matthews. I hate this Jake Matthews contract. Don't know what to do about it yet. I really don't. Taylor Heineke. I mean, is this a joke? I'm not paying that contract. Later. We don't have a backup quarterback now, but we'll figure that out. We might even draft one. That just saves too much money. Jonnu Smith would save money, as would Cordero Patterson. Cutting Mike Hughes, the best return man of all time. No interest. No interest. And, yeah, again, I'm pretty happy here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the updated team. Receivers going to start to look a lot better. It's still not amazing. But I'll tell you, Quez Watkins and Rashid Shaheed are a lot better than the alternatives of Maurice French and I don't even know. Cotton Jr. Yeah, sure. That's a player. And then defensively, Frankie Luvu is a good player. Linebacking core looks better. Still trying to develop some of these guys. And getting Poona Ford would be nice for our defensive line. Getting Jeff Okudah back is big. Clark Phillips probably starts in the nickel. Mike Hughes is a solid number 4 option. And take a look back in free agency. We did save up some money. Who remains available? Tommy Townsend, Graham Gano, Sterling Shepard. DPJ is still here. Nobody's offered on him. Poona Ford still mulling offers. Preston Williams doing the same. I'm going to offer on DPJ. How about a 1-year prove-it deal? I'm going to take the money down. Nobody's offering you. You have no leverage. We are going to get into the sweepstakes. Now, somebody else is probably going to jump in here. I don't think we're going to get him, but it's at least worth, getting in touch with him. As we have signed Poona Ford and Preston Williams. More depth just across our receiving core and defensive line. Poona Ford probably starts for us. It's not a big lock-in, 2 years, 3.2 per year, $6.6 million bonus. And we'll see if DPJ is going to go to Atlanta or not. Nobody's offering him, so I don't know what his options are going to end up being. A 1-year prove-it deal would be nice for us, but nothing exceptional. We're going to check out the mock draft here. Mock draft number 4 has Dante Boston going at number 1. Landry Hubbard, a running back out of Vandy here, going at number 2. This might be 2 Vanderbilt prospects going in the top 5 of the draft. Landry Hubbard and Kari Atwater. I'd like to know the last time that happened, if it ever has. Have to see about that. Currently, we pick at number 25. So it would be a long way to go in order to get Dante Boston. And even we'd have to trade up for Alex Gayton if we wanted to do that as well. So it would be a long way to move up for a player that might go at number 1 overall. Go ahead and simulate to week 3 here of free agency as we are quickly approaching the NFL draft. Take one final look at free agency as we are still targeting DPJ here. And he has decided to go to Atlanta, had no offers from anybody, and now he's going to be a Falcon for at least 1 year. I'll tell you right away, he's not going to wear number 11. Not going to wear number 11. We'll give him number 12 for now. He's not wearing Julio's number. So we go from Dennis Peoples in Jags and Desperados franchise to finally getting Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, jump ball receiver. He's going to be receiver 2 for us right now. Have to see what that ends up meaning. I don't know what his targets will look like, but of course, we're a run-first team. I can't guarantee targets for anyone. Not Kyle Pitts, not Drake London, definitely not DPJ. But we've signed him, as we will go to mock draft 5. We'll see if the Cardinals' projection has changed now that they've signed a 30-year-old running back. Don't really know why it would if they wanted a running back who's 20, 21, signing a 30-year-old, especially when, you know, teams run multiple running back sets. Wouldn't be that crazy if you wanted to draft one anyway, but you probably just wouldn't draft one at 2 anymore. Excuse the Saquon Barkley jersey in the back. Dante Boston still expected to go at number 1 overall. It's going to be tough to pry the Vikings' hands off that pick. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But we are quickly approaching the draft. It is time for private workouts. We'll take one last look at free agency recap, see if there's anything we missed, as Graham Gano, Tommy Townsend remain unsigned. A.J. Dillon also remains unsigned. Didn't really want to go anywhere, I guess. Didn't have any offers. Sterling Shepard, Marcus Peters, Tim Patrick, same deal. Nobody wanted these guys. Kind of surprising they can be contributors. I guess it just didn't match their financial goals. And we'll have to focus on what we can control, which is the draft, not about their futures. And here we are. So I have a number of players added to my board. Not all these players I'm even that interested in. I'll say that. There are a number of players that I added, go, well, you know what, maybe. DeMarcus Goodrich is probably a player I want to find out more about. Round 2 to 3 projection, B block shed, A tackle, great speed, elite acceleration. This is somebody I could see starting at linebacker for us sooner rather than later, maybe, and we can get him day 2. Maybe might fall into that range. Maybe could even go to day 3, although I doubt it. A play rec, A tackle, B block shed, B hit power. Pursuit's probably going to be pretty good. Not going to be the fastest player in the world, but definitely good speed. Ben Harrison's another one of those guys. Off-ball linebacker, I could see getting playing time for us really soon. Great speed, great acceleration. Tackle's great, awareness is great. Block shedding's really good as well. I think this is the class to take a linebacker down the board. And even a player like John Graves from Alabama, I could see being valuable. 6'3", 240. Kind of in that Will Anderson Jr. build. He has elite speed. He ran the fastest time of any outside linebacker at the combine. And he is an edge rusher, but only 240 pounds. B pursuit. Finesse moves is B to D. Could be C. Power moves is C. I bet finesse moves probably will be C. But this is like a developmental athlete down the board. So you got to think about development. And I think taking at least one of those linebackers to develop wouldn't be the worst idea for us. So we're going to use our focus points on 3 right outside linebackers and see what these players end up looking like. One final look at the mock draft. Vikings are expected to take Dante Boston number 1. Cardinals, Landry Hubbard at 2. Nolan Brooks at 3 to Washington. Kari Atwater, Earl Bowden make up the top 5. That is the first quarterback off the board, and then there might be a run of them. Johnny Turner to the Saints at 7. Here's John Holloman, who is excused from the Washington football program. 6'3", 185 with B-Man, A-Zone. There are some good players in here. Even Justin Whitfield could be a name to watch. A finesse move, C block shed. Physically, pretty good. Not exceptional, but pretty good. Not too bad. Eddie Sheed has A man coverage, but is only 5'10". Some good tackles in here as well. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how this draft is going to go at all. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, for those who didn't know, Coach Gene Deng is 5'5", 400. He wears it pretty well. He's a slim 5'5", 400. I think you'd agree. So, yeah, chat was asking about if he could get any fatter. This is as fat as he gets. Believe me, it was a priority headed into this season, into this series, and it didn't work out for us. He's as fat as it goes. But here we are, NFL draft time. Vikings at number 1, and we are at 25. And I'll tell you, just to show you, the price to move up here would be tremendous. And I will show you. Bijan Robinson, 3 first-round picks, a 3rd, and a 7th is offer number 1. Offer number 2 is 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. And then offer number 3 is Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, Grady Jarrett, a first-round pick in 2025, a first-round pick in 2026, and then a 6th-rounder for some reason in 2024. So, is this realistically something we would even have a chance to trade for? Let's just even start at a 1 and a 2. Not close. What about a first-round pick in 2025? A little closer, but I think we'd agree it would take a really good player or maybe a first-round pick again to change their mind. Now, we also do have staff points. Now, this could potentially make it slightly easier for us to trade up, but I'll tell you, it is not going to be cheap either way. So, it's expensive. It is, I would say, borderline undoable. We got up to a 4% trade discount, and that's all we can do. So, it's going to be very difficult to get Dante Boston. I'll tell you that. And is he a really good player? Undoubtedly. But I can't trade the farm to buy a pig. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense to trade everything you have in order to get one thing that doesn't make you better. So, this is pretty much the best offer we could even give them. I'm not giving them 3 first-round picks to move up to number 1. I'm not doing it. So, the Vikings at number 1 will more than likely select defensive end from LSU, Dante Boston. And here is the pick. It is Dante Boston. He's a good player. We knew he was going to be a good player. Really solid. And, you know, going number 1 overall for a reason. He was number 1 when we were in week 1. Found out about him. Said this guy's going to be legit. And, yeah, goes number 1 overall. Vikings get themselves a real stud pass rusher on the defensive line. 6'5", 270. Obviously would have been an instant starter. But simply was not feasible for us to go up and get him. Was never going to happen. Really awesome player. Just was never really in the cards for us at that spot. Cardinals at number 2 are expected to go Landry Hubbard, running back from Vanderbilt. And at number 2, they do go and take the running back. Now, I will say with Landry Hubbard, you go, oh, they just signed Austin Eckler. And I think that is a reasonable concern. Why would they draft Landry Hubbard when they just signed a running back? Austin Eckler is 30 years old. Landry Hubbard is 9 years younger and gives you a running back to develop for the future. And I get that running back is not really one of those positions in the NFL that you develop so much, as they're just either good or they're not usually. You don't want tread on the tires, but you're still going to have a fairly fresh running back in 2 or 3 years when Austin Eckler's contract is up. And he's still going to be 23, 24 years old with maybe 100 more carries on him, and could also potentially out-carry Austin Eckler in year 1 or 2, depending on what they want to do. Hubbard might work better in short yardage situations, whereas Austin Eckler could be truly your main receiving back. But also, drafting a second running back at number 2, probably not the wisest thing you can do. As the Commanders go Nolan Brooks from Oklahoma, he is a pass rusher, and he is probably pretty good. Now, that's the most I can kind of say, because I don't know that he completely blew me away when we watched him. Made a couple nice plays against A&M, but, I mean, that's one bad school against another. Hook 'em horns, baby. Nolan Brooks brings down James Culver, who is also in this draft class. And depending on which team grabs James Culver, we might be seeing him do it again. But yeah, definitely a good athlete. Have to see if he's an NFL level player. Indianapolis Colts at 4. Select Kari Atwater. We talked about him a bit earlier. Now, there was a late surge. Kari Atwater moving up draft boards to potentially get in that number 1 conversation. And this is the second Vanderbilt player that we've seen go here in the top 5. Not a football school. Not a basketball school. They're a baseball school. They're a smart people school. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't have had to be to go there. I mean, with that English, clearly, I wouldn't have got in, is what I was trying to say. But Kari Atwater didn't transfer out, and is rewarded by going at number 4 overall. And they get another tackle in that conversation. Maybe start ahead of Bernard Ryman. Of course, have Braden Smith in the mix. Rams go Earl Bowden, and Sean McVay gets his quarterback. First QB off the board. Is it worth it? I don't know. Matthew Stafford is, of course, getting older. This was probably a priority position for them in the draft. And Earl Bowden from Cal, putting up Mickey Mouse numbers in the pack, ends up being the pick. Had a number of good receivers to work with, including J. Michael Sturdivant, and a very decent tight end as well, you might see get drafted today also. So we will see if this is a QB of the future, or if they go with the mailman, Stetson Bennett. Kurt Haskins is that name at tight end to look for later in this draft. It's a decent looking tight end class. Kurt Haskins is a pretty big part of that. Patriots at number 6. Select Ramon Joseph from Bama. Joseph is a big-bodied defensive end, offers a little bit of pass rush. Is he worth a top 6 pick? This is somebody that's definitely a good player. Is it a great player? Can they develop him into being a stud, or is he just going to be fine? That's going to be the question that he and the Patriots look to answer over the next 4 or 5 years as we get to our division rival, the New Orleans Saints, on the clock at number 7. And they select Johnny Turner. The second QB off the board is one from Washington. And the interesting thing about Johnny Turner, he is not the only quarterback from Washington in this draft. Johnny Turner, certainly a very good player, right? This guy's going top 10 for a reason. But why are there 2 Washington quarterbacks in the same draft? Good question. And it's because Johnny Turner, a scrambling mobile quarterback, sustained an injury in this game versus Cal, forcing Alex Hayden into the starting role. And guess what? He performed. So, who knows which quarterback will end up being better? It's a battle. We'll have to see. Could it be Alex Hayden? Or is Johnny Turner the better player? We'll take one look at that injury sustained by Turner. And as you'll see, it was devastating. Popped! I mean, that's a big dude to run into. And he still ends up going high in the draft, but is Hayden the better quarterback? It's a good question. Dolphins at number 8. Select Max Pollard. Another tackle off the board here. This one from Alabama. Max Pollard, of course, another one in a long line of good Alabama players getting drafted high. And hopefully this is not the next Alex Leatherwood if you are the Miami Dolphins. This is going to be Tua Tagovailoa's blind side protector, the right tackle for the lefty quarterback. Seahawks at number 9. Go with Tevin Stewart. It's a safety in the top 10. Trying to rebuild the Legion of Boom. Well, Stewart is another one that can really, really hit. Tevin Stewart, maybe not somebody who's going to be an elite cover player. You see him making a play on the ball there. But someone that can really come up and drill receivers in the box. Bang! Mark Stoops' son Drake gets disheveled. There's Dillian Gabriel looking a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, Tevin Stewart can really, really hit. The Seahawks clearly have an identity. And Tevin Stewart, they're hoping fit into that identity. Jags now at number 10. Take John Holliman. Now, this is one of the more controversial players in the entire draft. John Holliman was dismissed from Washington. Yet here he ends up being a top 10 pick in the draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars take another shot at a corner, and it didn't work out so well with CJ Henderson. Of course, he was at Florida the entire time, but are they going to run into some problems again with John Holliman? That will be the question. And now another team, no stranger to taking players with potential off-the-field concerns. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. And they go Justin Whitfield out of UCLA. Now, less local than he would have been, several years ago. But still a pretty good player. And here UCLA, now in the Big Ten, has to go out and play in games like this. Snowy. At Penn State. Drew Aller never saw it coming. He rose to the occasion, but now he's playing in a dome at Allegiant Stadium, so probably not going to be too much of an issue for him half the time, of course. So, good player. Raiders need some pass rush. Get somebody to team up with Max Crosby. And they decide that Justin Whitfield is the guy. Giants at 12. Go with Billy Jenkins. It's back-to-back pass rushers off the board. Billy Jenkins, that's a football name. That's a football guy. Here's footage of him a year ago at Wisconsin. Of course, missed this past season due to injury. Still ends up being a top 15 pick. Brings down now Florida quarterback Graham Mertz. But he's got power. Obviously, he can move a little bit, showcasing that spin move. And Giants take him at number 12. At number 13, we have the Lions. They did a lot in free agency. They got help for Jared Goff. They made big moves on defense. And now they make another big move, taking one of the better cornerbacks, if not the best corner in the draft. That's Eddie Sheed from Bama. This guy, a little bit undersized, but he sure can cover down the field. He's got big-time speed. He's got ball skills. Couldn't end up reeling in that interception, but made up for it later, intercepting Klubnik in the end zone. Keeping Bama on top and Clemson off the scoreboard. Just a couple of field goals for Clemson in this game. Bama absolutely dominated at Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa. Sheed could have gone as high as inside the top 10. There was There's a thought the Lions could have grabbed Christian Gonzalez or Devin Witherspoon in this past draft. Don't end up going that direction. Take a running back in Jahmyr Gibbs. End up getting Brian Branch to play the nickel. Maybe even some safety in there as well. And now they go with a undersized but still very talented boundary corner in Eddie Sheed from the same school. Texans at 14. Go George Leak from Penn State. George Leak is the third tackle now off the board. Somebody that we looked at pretty early on in the cycle. And he was able to shut down his competition. But you'll keep in mind, he didn't play against Justin Whitfield. Whitfield rushing from that other side. So, easier matchup from George Leak. Can he rise to the challenge against top-tier competition? That may end up being the question. Bucks at 15. Go with Anthony Osgood from Oregon, and the tackle run continues. Quick check to the draft board. Still a couple of good quarterbacks remaining, including the 21-year-old James Culver from A&M. He's accurate. He's got a good arm. He moves fairly well. Acceleration, explosiveness might be an issue for him, but if he can throw, you probably don't care that much. Alex Hayden, of course, available as well. A couple good linemen still on the board. I'm kind of surprised not to see Andrew Cameron going yet. Not the best in pass protection, but he moves really well. Elite acceleration, elite agility, elite jumping, great speed, great change of direction. Strength isn't so bad either. Skills-wise, a lot of question marks. We know he can move people in the run game, impact block, and that is something we like to do in Atlanta. Andrew Cameron could be an option. We have still yet to see the first receiver go. There are a number of good ones. Cam Shields can run, only 5'8", but gets down the field real well. Ran 4.39 at his pro day. Elite agility, elite acceleration, and deep route running. Can't really move much in the intermediate areas of the field, though. Taylor Hanna, very different style, still available as well. Brandon Watts is somebody that we looked at pretty early on in the cycle. Decent speed, good tackling, good awareness, good coverage. Just a good player. Maybe not a great player, but definitely a very good player and somebody that you could potentially develop as well. Alex Gayton probably is my number one target at the moment. He'd be an edge rusher for us. He's got great acceleration, great speed, elite jumping, good strength. Might have to make a move up for him, but does feature a pursuit, a finesse moves, a awareness. Now, is apparently only a round 1 to 2 talent, but there are some good skills there. He's a good athlete, and he can really rush the QB. So, he's a potential option. If we were to pick, we would have to probably trade up to get him. And as I mentioned, good tight ends in this class, probably not something we're going to do, but does look to be a very good tight end class. And even Neil Madsen, who I expect to be a first-round pick, a run blocking with elite speed, elite agility, elite jumping, ran 4.48 at his pro day, a pass block, a run block, B short route running, B spectacular catch. Probably not something we're going to do, but the next great Utah tight end behind Dalton Kincaid, Neil Madsen, going to be somebody to look at. Now, if he's available, do we do that? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. We'll see how the rest of this draft unfolds. Titans at 16. Go ahead and take Andrew Cameron. We were just talking about him. This is kind of like the final good offensive tackle off the board in this draft. Somebody that was worthy of going higher. I mean, he protected behind 2 first-round quarterbacks, potentially. We've already seen one go off the board. And a couple of really good receivers, Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan. Andrew Cameron goes here in the middle of the first round, and the Titans are serious about offensive line. Chargers, keeping him local. It's Brandon Watts. We just talked about him. Brandon Watts is off the board. The LA product out of UCLA, staying local, going to the Los Angeles Chargers. And now they already had a versatile DB in Derwin James. They lost Nasir Adderley to early retirement, and they might have just replaced him here in the first round with Brandon Watts. They need more playmakers on defense, and now Brandon Watts will help them make plays. Drew Aller really struggled in this game. The UCLA defense rose to the occasion. Brandon Watts is a very talented player, a ball hawk, nose for the football, and he made several plays, not only in the pass game, but in the run game as well in this Penn State game. He is a playmaker. Ravens on the clock at 18. Take Stephon LeMontagne from Iowa State. Didn't really have him graded as high as the other tackles, but the Ravens clearly like him. Still looking for that Orlando Brown Jr. replacement. Low bar. They bring in Stephon LeMontagne. Packers at 19. Go Norman Pierce, another tackle. I think he was graded pretty high at the start of the year. Maybe fell off quite a bit. Packers looking to upgrade that offensive line. Get a bookend alongside or on the other side of David Bakhtiari. Norman Pierce going to help protect Jordan Love. And then the Broncos at 20. Go Demetrius Griffin. Second safety off the board. You know, it's a position we don't really see go as high anymore. But Griffin's a good player. Another guy with decent enough skills in coverage, but really makes his case known as a blitzer and as someone playing the run game in the box. And he's going to let one of these Washington quarterbacks know about it. That, I believe, is Johnny Turner. And, yeah, he got brutalized this season. It's part of why we saw so much Alex Hayden. Steelers at 21. This is where you could probably start to think about a trade-up if we wanted to get Alex Gayton. Moved down 16 spots in that final mock draft. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not really sure I'm interested in a trade-up. I'm really not. I don't think anyone is too enticing to me that I think it makes sense to move up. Like, there are good players. I'm not saying there are not good players. But how good are they? Ends up being the question. So, I know it's boring, but there's a realistic chance we get to 25 and I say, hey, we're going to trade back and maybe get 2 first-round picks next year. That's a possibility. But I don't know yet. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to trade up. This could be where we see Alex Gayton go. And it is. Edge rusher from Penn State, staying in Pennsylvania. And going to the Steelers, trying to rebuild the steel curtain. This UCLA-Penn State game had everything. Garbers really struggled. And it's part of the reason why you might see Dante Moore sooner rather than later. Gayton showed out in this game. He is a very good pass rusher. You worry about some of the other skills. A very good athlete. But is he someone that's going to be able to tackle at a consistent basis? Is he going to be able to play off the ball when you need him to? Is he going to be the next Alex Highsmith you're looking for, or TJ Watt? It's another player into that rotation. Can never have too many pass rushers, and the Steelers have added another one. Alex Gayton to Pittsburgh. Jets at 22. Take Jamal Taylor from Miami. This is a tackle-heavy class. We've seen a whole lot of tackles go off the board. You got to wonder how many are going to keep going. That might have been the last one. Blake Huff from USF could sneak in there probably, but I doubt it. Cam Young also in that Penn State game could. We'll have to see. Bears at 23. Go Clifton Pike from West Virginia. Wasn't really too impressed by him. Could end up being a good player. We'll have to see. That is courtesy of the Carolina Panthers. And then the final pick before our pick, the 49ers at 24 go Thomas Murray, an offensive guard from Oregon. And here we are at 25. Quarterbacks have fallen to us. Do I want Alex Hayden? Not particularly. Am I overwhelmed by James Culver? Not really. Do I want to take any of these receivers? No. So, where does that put us? I kind of wish I knew more about D. Hebert, but don't really think we need to take a safety when we're not, like, blown away by one, right? Camille Grove was someone who looked okay at Virginia. Not overwhelmed. And I think there are a lot of good tight ends in this class. Lionel Bernard is someone who looks like he could be a solid receiver. A, short route running. A, spectacular catch. B, release. Lionel Bernard is not bad. Just, is he good enough to take here at 25? And the answer is, I don't know. Evan White from Colorado, another receiver. He's got good speed. He's just kind of like another one of these players that looks pretty good. A, spectacular catch. B, medium route running. C, short route running. Release and catching are a C. Not too bad at receiver. But also not amazing. And I think this pretty much confirms what I was already thinking, which is that this is a trade down spot. You know, as soon as we couldn't really have any chance to go up to number 1, the rest of the draft class didn't really look all that great. And now, the offers we're getting back are also not that great. I'm not really interested in a second or a third round pick. So, we're going to look at potential trade options. You know, I like the idea of talking with the Vikings, who, of course, just drafted Dante Boston. So, you know, I'm curious if they would want to move up in this spot. They also pick at 33. I don't think they'd want to do this, but it's actually not too far. I don't know that I'd even want that. I think I might want a second next year. And then that is going to be going through. So we are trading completely out of the first round to get a first round pick next year from the Vikings and a second round pick next year as well. So there just wasn't anybody at that spot that I thought we absolutely had to take. We pick again at number 8 in the second round. So 38 overall, right? Or excuse me, 40, right? 40. So this is not, you know, we didn't need to stick and pick and take a player here. So we trade down in the draft. Vikings move up. They're going for it with Kirk Cousins. Or are they? Because they've traded up for a quarterback. They get that 5th-year option. And guess what? The price to trade up for a quarterback is high. Be right back, and here we are. It's Alex Hayden. He can move. He can scramble. He can throw. But most of all, he's got that toughness, that it factor. He finds Rome Odunze in the back of the end zone for a score. And he's going to now be upgrading with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addison, with TJ Hawkinson, Alex Hayden to the Minnesota Vikings. Bears at 26. Take Kurt Haskins. We talked about him earlier. As I said, and I keep saying, it is a good tight end class. If we didn't have Kyle Pitts, there is a very good chance that we would have been looking for our next Nick Duval. If you watch Giants franchise, I think Kurt Haskins is good. I think Neil Madsen might be better. But the Bears getting another tight end into the mix maybe don't feel so good about extending Cole Kmet. Well, Kurt Haskins is a really nice safety blanket for Justin Fields. And once again, how much help does Justin Fields need? How much help? Cardinals on the board at 27. Go with Brody Price, a center from Wisconsin. Well, they're establishing a new identity. They're building that offense, and they're going to start with the interior. Got a running back, now a center in Brody Price. And there's the first running back, and surprise, surprise, it is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, this is a team who's not afraid to draft a running back in the first round. We saw it with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and now with Leon Scott. We already see him catching the football back-to-back times. This is someone that is a pretty good receiver, but also can run the football, can bounce off tackles. And even after drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, didn't work out, they go to another running back here in the first round to complement Isaiah Pacheco. So Leon Scott, first running back off the board, behind the kid from Vanderbilt, Landry Hubbard. Of course, wouldn't forget about him. Bengals on the clock at 29. They go with another running back. It is running back bonanza here in the 2024 NFL Draft. And this is a pure receiving back. This is not someone that's going to run between the tackles. This is not someone that's going to get third and short for you. This is not someone that you're going to bring in on the goal line. It might not even be someone that you regularly have out there on rundowns on first down. This is a receiver playing the running back position. Matthias Blades can catch, he can run routes, and he'll make you miss in space. But this is probably not someone that's going to be an every down running back for the Bengals. Yet he goes in the first round regardless. So we know what they want to do. They want to throw the football. And Matthias Blades enables them to do that. Another weapon for that offense. Matthias Blades, third running back off the board now. And the Eagles don't take another. They lose Quez Watkins. They replace him right away with a deep threat in Clemson's Cam Shields. And boy, can he get down the field. Klubnik airs it out, beating Sheed. We saw him go earlier in the draft, and this is a type of talent that Cam Shields has. Has the speed, the release, the route selling ability to get to the second level and beyond. He wins down the field, and now with Jalen Hurts, he gives you a field stretcher that can also space things out. Give you more opportunities to, take yardage over the middle of the field and obviously run as well when you want to do that. They've had no problem doing that at all. Back-to-back NFC East teams. Here's the Cowboys at 31, and they go with a receiver. So this is no surprise. Cowboys wanted to get a receiver in here, and that's exactly what they've done. The Boise State to Dallas pipeline is real. Count the number of Boise State players who have been Cowboys in recent years. It is incredible. Not even counting Kellen Clemens at offensive coordinator. Think about it. Cedric Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, Darian Thompson even got in there. DeMarcus Lawrence. This is a Boise State pipeline. And Taylor Hanna gives them a big-bodied receiver on the outside. And you got two really talented players in CeeDee Lamb and now Taylor Hanna. If I said Kellen Clemens, I meant Kellen Moore. My bad. Bills at 32. Won the Super Bowl and take another receiver. It's 3 in a row. It's Lionel Bernard from Alabama. And he is someone, we talked about him earlier in this video, in this offseason stream. Is he someone that gives you the athleticism to win outside enough? He's got the size, he's got the hands, but is he someone that is worth a first-round selection, or is he the next N'Keal Harry? Similar skill sets, similar draft position. Lionel Bernard goes at 32, last pick of the first round, and here we are to the second. Vikings on the clock. And they take Sharif Easley from USC. Again, I keep saying how great of a tight end class this is. I'm probably going to keep saying it. This is one to watch. Obviously, you got Caleb Williams throwing you the football. You're going to look good. But this is someone who can get deep down the field. Ran real well at the combine. And gives the Vikings another option. You can run 12 personnel. You can do whatever the hell is going on there. Getting a little bit too friendly with your teammates. But that just shows you what Sharif Easley brings to a locker room. The bonding is next level. Next level. Maybe even to next level, but it's okay nowadays. Cardinals on the clock at 34 in the draft. And they take James Culver. The Kyler Murray era is over. There's been a lot of talk about him being traded in real life. And now James Culver falls completely out of the first round, and the Cardinals snag him here in the second. They're going to get potentially rid of that Kyler Murray albatross contract and now have a different option. New GM, new head coach, new quarterback. James Culver from A&M goes to the Cardinals. And you know, it is interesting. If the Cardinals are open to moving Kyler Murray, are the Atlanta Falcons interested in acquiring him? That's interesting, as quarterbacks now are flying off the board. This is one from a small school. It's Chris McDermott from San Diego State. Accuracy short and in the intermediate areas of the field, not great. But you know what he can do? He can throw the football down the field. He's got a big-time arm. He's got accuracy down the field. And potentially could have been a first-round guy. There's something to work with here. You know, I don't want to say think Will Levis, but think Will Levis a little bit, right? He's tough. He can air it out. Cannon of an arm. But you're going to have to develop him. And at least it's another option alongside Sam Howell. And here are the Colts at number 4. Took a tackle out of Vanderbilt, Kari Atwater. Follow that up with a safety, Dante Parker out of Ole Miss. Rams go Glenn Craig, defensive end out of Clemson. Patriots go Cam Young out of Penn State. We looked at him a little bit earlier. Had a tough time against Justin Whitfield, that's for sure. Had a real tough time. Falls into the second round for a reason. And then the Eagles, just ahead of us, go with the defensive end, Camille Grove. Would this be somebody we were really thinking about? You know what? Probably not. Camille Grove is good, but is he great? That's the question. Eagles looking for answers. They already have a great defensive line. Well, they get another guy in the mix. And here we are. Could we take our first pick of the draft here at number 40? Parker Whitaker's here. Neil Madsen's here. I'll tell you, I just keep looking at him. And he's a really good player. Really good player. 6'6", 240. Elite athleticism. Elite run blocking. It might just be a case of best player available. You can run 12 personnel. I don't know if that's something I really want to do. But he definitely seems good. But Kyrie Yankee also has things to like. Elite acceleration. Elite strength. Great speed. A play rec, B block shed, B power moves, C finesse moves, B tackle. Kyrie Yankee from Notre Dame is an option. Could we move Kyle Pitts to more of a traditional receiver role? Maybe. I question Darius Winston's athleticism. Byron Bacon is an interesting player. Probably not someone I would take with this pick, despite elite speed. He ran 4.4. 4.4 flat. Interesting player. A finesse moves, keep in mind, is that inside linebacker, not outside, so he's not going to have like 80 plus. This is an interesting decision. But I'll tell you guys, and yes, I know a 6-foot corner with a man coverage. Deion Cherry's a little bit slow. He's a little bit slow. Marginal speed, poor strength. This was going to always be the problem with this draft class. It just wasn't really that good outside of the top guys. Or top guy, in my opinion. And you can only draft what's available to you, right? And I'm just not overwhelmed with the talent in this class. I'm just not. Neil Madsen, I think, just ends up being the best player here. He's 6'6", 240 with elite speed and blocking capabilities. I think he's just the best player here. And so, despite having a tight end, not going into the draft looking for a tight end, we traded back. We got a first-round pick next year. We got a second-round pick at the top next year. Neil Madsen, I just think, is the best for us. Because keep in mind, Kyle Pitts is not a blocker. And Neil Madsen is a normal development tight end with elite athleticism. 88 speed, 87 acceleration, 88 agility, 78 change of direction. And, I mean, you're seeing all that on the field and more when Neil Madsen showed out for Utah. This guy can get down the field. You don't see 6'6", 240 with 88 speed very often. 87 acceleration, elite agility. And as someone that we're going to use a lot in the run game, wearing Kyle Pitts number 8, you know, he's someone that doesn't feel like a first-round pick for us, but he's not. You know, he goes here fairly early in the second round. Doesn't fill a need, but gives us a solid option to work with, especially when we love two tight end sets. And I think he's going to be a good player. And unfortunately, normal dev sucks. It sucks to see. It's anticlimactic, but he's a good player. And I think he does make our offense better when you factor in Jonnu Smith getting worse and how often I used Jonnu Smith last year. And now we might be incentivized to do that even more. Jonnu Smith is down to a 72 overall. We liked him for his blocking, but he's regressed so much now. So I'm not going to say Neil Madsen is the next Jonnu Smith, but he is the pick that we have. I think he might even be better. So we'll see. He's got a very Utah name. Seahawks go Eric Gibson, a guard from Oklahoma. Jags go Parker Whitaker. They've taken some good players here. Whitaker's somebody I liked. Never really would have considered drafting. Safety out of Alabama. There are a lot of Alabama players in this draft. There really, really are. And, I mean, he's someone that is probably worth the pick here. He falls here. And the Jags jump on him. And we might give the Raiders a call. We might give the Raiders a phone call. They went all out in free agency. Signed a number of good players. You look at who they brought in, and they already have, you know, some talent on their team at the top end, right? But you bring in Byron Jones, you bring in Jordan Whitehead, you bring in... I thought they got way more. I could have sworn they got way more players in free agency. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you want for number 43? Well, you're not getting a first-round pick, that's for sure. Kyler Murray would cost too much. I can promise you. Everyone's saying trade for Kyler Murray. He would still cost way too much. He's only at 81. But still probably would cost way too much. And they're not even looking to trade him without having this new QB on the roster. What about a second and a third? How do the Raiders feel about that? I don't know if I even have to give up that much. What about a 4? It's actually not too far. So a 2, a 4, and a 5 is close. I might want to keep one of those 6s. What about a 5 next year? And that is going to be accepted. So we are moving up in the draft by giving them a 4, a 5, and a 5 next year to move up like 10, 15-ish picks. I can't remember what pick we exactly had. But we have moved up in the draft. And there are a number of good players here. The one we're going to take is Kyrie Yankee from Notre Dame. B block shed, C finesse moves, B power moves, B tackle. If he fell in the draft at all, I was going to make a move up. He's a little bit older, but he is very athletic. Elite acceleration, elite strength, great speed. Combine that with fairly good skills, and this is going to end up being the pick. Yankee Doodle Dandy. It's Kyrie Yankee, and he's got 95 strength 86 acceleration and 76 speed. You want to talk about a potential Grady Jarrett replacement long term. Kyrie Yankee could be it. That is a ton of strength and some pretty good speed as well. Kyrie Yankee was somebody that was always going to be in play if he got to us down the board, and it just happened to work out that he was available. We passed on him once to take who I thought was best player available in Neil Madsen, but now we take an actual position of need, somebody that's going to get on the field probably right away, and that is Kyrie Yankee from Notre Dame. He's a high-effort player. You can take him out, you can block him with the tackle, with the running back, but he won't stop. J.J. McCarthy gets destroyed by the strength of Kyrie Yankee. And now he's going from South Bend, Indiana, to Atlanta. Kyrie Yankee, the newest Atlanta Falcon. And I think this is going to be a really good value pick. You know, I'm not going to say he's the best player in the entire draft. But I think for what we need, which is help on the defensive line, I think Yankee does that. D. Abear out of Georgia goes to the Giants. Blake Huff, a tackle from USF, goes to the Lions. Byron Bacon, the bacon cooking in Cleveland. Byron Bacon headed to the Browns. They've needed help at linebacker. Sione Takitaki's taken a step up, but Byron Bacon gives you a ton of speed. One of the fastest linebackers in the draft. The Porker, Byron Bacon, goes to Cleveland. Chat already huge fans of Byron Bacon. And the skill set's pretty good. He's just a lot of fast right now. And not a whole lot else, but we'll see if the Browns can develop him. Bucks go Brett Starkey, quarterback out of South Carolina. Quarterback controversy? Baker, of course, left, so Starkey could be the guy. There goes Otis Russell from Alabama. I think Otis Russell, you know, it's kind of amazing. Another Alabama player. It's kind of amazing the difference in talent, in my opinion, between Otis Russell and Kyrie Yankee. And their draft positions were quite close. I think if we didn't trade up for Kyrie Yankee when we did, we probably were not drafting Kyrie Yankee. And we'll have to see how good he ends up being. Otis Russell from Bama goes to Tennessee. Chargers take Lucas Wise from Texas. A wise selection, if I do say so myself. We got to get some hook'ems in the chat as well if you're live in here. Lucas Wise. If you think I didn't get footage of Lucas Wise, you are mistaken. Had to. First Texas player off the board. And you got, you know what, first guy in, last guy out mentality. He's a hard worker. He's got a high motor on the field. And he's going to let you know about it. He's a heck of a player. No Will Howard. This is Lucas Wise from a year ago, of course. High effort guy. High effort guy. Ravens take Steve Rosenthal, who played in this game on the other side of the ball. It is a Big 12 showdown with back-to-back picks. It is little Stevie Rosenthal. Nah, he's a good player. He's a big guy. I don't know. I don't know why I called him Little Steve. Probably because of Little Steven. Steven Van Zandt. I don't know if anyone knows who that is. But you look him up, he's a guy. There's Steve Rosenthal. That's the review. Packers at number 19 here in the second round go with another safety. It's Chauncey Lyons from UNC. Saints in our division go Brian Briscoe from Oklahoma. So this is the next guy we're going to have to worry about. Brian Briscoe can make some plays happen. Got speed. He can win down the field. But he's also really good after the catch. I want to say he was one of the better run after catch receivers in the draft. And Saints clearly have a replacement for Rashid Shaheed. They got a deep threat / somebody that can win quickly, get open, make plays happen. I mean, you can see the speed. You can see the explosiveness. This is clearly a playmaker. And somebody I'm not really too excited to play every year. And it's another Whitey. It's not relevant. It's Alexander Fletcher from Clemson. He's a bigger bodied receiver. Now, the first Clemson receiver off the board was Cam Shields, he's only 5'8". Not the case with Alexander Fletcher. Call him Alexander Stretcher. Not because he's getting injured or anything, but because he's stretch. He's 6'3". He's a big receiver, and the Steelers clearly have a type. And Alexander Fletcher joins George Pickens. As Mac Tyson goes off the board, Packers continue to invest in that O-line. There goes Trovon Smith to the Panthers. And there goes Evan White out of Colorado. Another really good receiver after the catch. He's got some good speed. Nothing absolutely exceptional. But a real, quicker than fast guy that can get you chunk yardage, but after the catch. He's a playmaker. He's going to make you miss when he catches the football. That's just kind of his thing. And Shedeur Sanders certainly benefit a ton from Evan White being on the field. Really, really, really good after the catch. And we know Shedeur Sanders loves to hit the right guy and eat up yardage from his receivers and or backs getting down the field in a hurry. So, Evan White hopefully doesn't end up like the baseball Evan White. Didn't end up being as good as people thought he would be. A little baseball reference for you. Ohio State quarterback J.P. Burton headed to the Raiders. Quarterback controversy. Dwayne Newberry out of Tulsa goes to the Bears. Texans take Deion Cherry from Arizona. This is an interesting one. Deion Cherry is 6'4" and a little over 200 pounds. And I'll tell you, he made Shedeur Sanders pay a couple of times in this game. 6'4" with excellent man cover skills and ball skills. You're going to see he gets Deion in quite the mood on the sideline. Coach Prime not happy with his son Shedeur as Deion Cherry picked him off twice. And at 6'4", I mean, you're not going to throw the ball over him. It's just the question of whether he can actually run with these receivers down the field. That's why he falls to the end of the second round. So, Deion Cherry available for a reason, but also high upside player just because of that height and that coverability. There goes Lamont Holiday, another corner from the pack out of Stanford. Guard Vernon Payton out of Clemson goes to the Bengals. Jackson Carman type vibes. Eagles take George Cole, a running back from Memphis. They can just take whatever. They're so talented, unfortunately. Miles McGee from North Texas goes to slightly more South Texas, goes to play for the Cowboys. From Denton to Dallas or Arlington. And the last pick of the second round is a player I liked. It is DeMarcus Goodrich from USC. He looked like a good player, man. Flies around the field, makes plays, and, I mean, we could use the athleticism at linebacker. I know we just picked up Frankie Louvu, but it doesn't hurt to get one of these younger players that can end up being good for you long-term, not just this season. So, DeMarcus Goodrich goes here with the last pick of round 2. And now is just another player that we cannot draft. But I still do have some players I quite like on this board, including Deshaun Humphreys from Clemson, round 1 to 2 talent. Including Miles Terry from Florida. B, block shed. A, finesse moves. C, tackle. He's a good athlete with a run stopper archetype. If you thought we were done at interior defensive line, you might not be right about that. Might not be right. Ben Harrison from Tennessee looks quite good as well. Great speed. I don't know how we're going to approach this, but we are very close to picking here. And we're just going to see what's available. I think it's almost a given that one of these players is going to get drafted before we can get them. I do have Riley Wheeler on my board. Guard isn't a huge need, but he looks good. A, impact block, elite strength, elite change of direction. Oh my goodness. I might have been underselling just how good this player is. A, pass block finesse. A, lead block. Riley Wheeler Riley Wheeler's good. Riley Wheeler's really good. Lions go with a different guard. I'm calling the Cardinals. It's not for Kyler Murray. It is to trade up for this draft pick. Round 3, pick 66. We pick at 69. Nice, but we're going to move up. And 89. I kind of want to keep 89. I have 2 second-round picks next year. How about we trade my second-round pick to the Cardinals for this third? And can I get your other third if I give you more? Close. They wanted defensive tackle. We have David Onyemata. Puna Fori we just signed. This could be a good chance to get rid of David Onyemata. His cap hit is pretty big. I'm not sure I want to pay that. And could I get an extra third-round pick for my troubles? I'm very close. Very close to being able to do that. How about a 6th? Very close. How about a 6 in 2026? And that trade is accepted. So everyone wave goodbye to David Onyemata and a second-round pick that we traded. Or actually, that's our second-round pick, I believe. A 6th this year and a 6th in 2026. We're getting 3 third-round picks. There are players that we want to draft. We still could trade out of these picks as well. But we're taking this interior offensive lineman. Riley Wheeler is a big dude. 6'4", 329 from Michigan State. I know some people are going to be really excited about that. He's got elite strength, elite change of direction, great acceleration, great agility, and some really good-looking attributes from what I can tell. Riley Wheeler from Michigan State, welcome to the Falcons. He's only got normal dev, which is a bit disappointing, and a big brace on his left arm. But 92 strength, 81 acceleration. That's pretty good here, and we'll see what his attributes really look like. But that's pretty good here in the 3rd round. So I'm pretty happy about that. Obviously, when you're drafting an offensive lineman, because those positions don't really develop so much, you want the dev trait. We didn't get it here. That stinks. But he just might end up being a good player. As Cliff Hooks goes off the board from Michigan. Round 3, pick 5. I talked about some of these players that I wanted here. I think I'm going to take Miles Terry. Miles Terry from Florida. One of the reasons we were happy getting rid of David Onyemata, clearing some cap space. And he's got B block shed, 8 finesse moves. Really solid athlete. Welcome to Atlanta, Miles Terry. He's also got normal dev. 87 strength, 77 speed, 82 acceleration. Again, a little bit disappointing, but I think the skills are really good. So I don't fault myself for that. He's a good athlete with A finesse moves on the defensive line. There was Chris Hankins from Southern Illinois. Another guard off the board. Another guard off the board. There goes a linebacker to the Seahawks, Glenn Donaldson from Texas Tech. There goes Ben Harrison from Tennessee. That's somebody I wanted. Ben Harrison would have been quite nice there. Linebackers going off the board pretty quickly here. I think Deshaun Humphreys will end up being available. He's got elite speed. Elite ability. Does he make it to us? He's a number 1 left outside linebacker available. It might be worth it to give the Raiders a call. We've been becoming real friendly with them lately. And we are going to try to make a move up. Round 3, pick 75. It really shouldn't cost too much. Round 3, pick 80. And we'll give him a 6 next year. and that gets it done. It doesn't cost too much to move up 5 spots in the 3rd round, but it is going to hopefully ensure that we get the player we want at this spot. So this seems like a steal. Deshaun Humphreys is a round 3 to 4 projected player who's a true round 1 to 2 talent. B block shed, A pursuit, A tackle, B zone coverage. Physical player who delivers bone-crushing hits, that big hitter trait. Savvy defender with the ball in the air. High motor trait. Strip ball trait. Good discipline and won't get flagged much. He's got a spin as a counter move. He's got a swift arm over move in his arsenal. It's a swim move. And will use power and leverage to bowl through pass protectors. That's bull rush. Physically, elite speed. And some good looking attributes as well. B awareness, A play rec, A pursuit, A catching, A tackle, B zone, B hit power. Deshaun Humphreys, you are an Atlanta Falcon, and you have hidden development. 86 speed, 87 acceleration, 79 strength, 77 agility, and change of direction. Welcome to Atlanta, Deshaun Humphreys, as chat is calling him Hump Dog. It is hump season in Atlanta. Deshaun Humphreys to the Falcons. That's quite a steal, I think, for us. I really do. Clark Melvin from Florida goes to the Giants at tight end. There goes Steve Hyde from UCLA. A guard. Browns take receiver Cordell Ellison from Louisville. Rashard Mitchell from Utah goes to the Bucks. Another guard off the board, Phil Quigley. There goes a center, Christian Woods, out of LSU to the Chargers. Another interior offensive lineman is Mitch Moss to the Ravens. Running back Chance Borden from South Florida goes to the Packers. Jamie Greenfield from BC goes to the Seahawks. Packers take Geo Wake, a linebacker from Bama. Trey Benford from Penn State goes to the Jets. Panthers take Percy Hart in division. Got to keep an eye out for him out of Auburn. And then the 49ers ahead of us go Raheem Boone from Auburn. And we are back on the clock. Okay, so I do have Eric Rushing watched. He's a running back from Utah. Could team him up with his teammate. Not with this pick necessarily, but he's a power back. I know we have Tyler Algier. A ball carrier vision, A break tackle, B carrying. Got great strength. He's fast enough. A trucking. Somebody to keep an eye out for, right? Randy Malone is on my board, as is John Graves. Randy Malone is slow as the day is long. Not doing that. So there's nobody really on my board right now that I absolutely have to have. Let's see. Is there anybody else in the draft that I may have missed out on in the scouting period? Ramon Hearns, I don't think helps us too much. Ron Cooper looks pretty bad. Donovan Johnson from South Carolina is somebody I keep looking at. 6'5", 221. C is pretty good at receiver. C is not as bad as you think it is. I don't like the route running very much, though. So probably will not draft him. Tavares Allen, if you're fast, B catching, B man, C press, C zone. He skipped the combine. Said, hey, Roger Goodell, up yours, jerk. Yeah, he doesn't speak, too poorly. He doesn't say anything really foul, but jerk is kind of as bad as it gets. He's a dog, dude. Anyway, he skipped the combine. And now I might be it. Tavares Allen, maybe? Paul Barker, he's 24. No. I don't know. This, to me, feels like it could be a trade. A hit power is actually very interesting. A hit power could end up being 99. Rob Curtis from Notre Dame with B zone coverage. That's intriguing. That really is. Jerry Hopkins. Who in the hell are you, Jerry? B block shed, A pursuit. Fine athlete, I guess. He's got some talent. John Graves is somebody I've looked at quite a bit. B pursuit, B tackle, B block shed, elite speed. B finesse moves he ends up with. Okay. That's actually quite good. That's quite good. Here's what we're going to do, though. We're going to look at offers for this pick first. I think we're just going to take players, man. I think we're just going to take our guys. John Graves. And I think we're going to take Tavares Allen from Florida. He said, hey, Roger Goodell, not doing your damn combine. And you know what? It's going to reward him with being drafted. Kind of backwards, but Tavares Allen, welcome to the Falcons. We know this going in that he's going to be a fifth corner for us. Really good athlete, actually. 92 speed and acceleration. Awesome change of direction, agility, jumping. Probably a special teamer. But we knew that going into that pick. And then the Bears take Gary Rudd out of Penn State. And we will follow that up with John Graves from Alabama. Could be another potential steal here. B block shed, B pursuit, B tackle. He's not a zone cover guy, but he's got elite speed. So it's at least intriguing. Decent acceleration, decent strength. But the fact that he has B finesse moves is actually pretty surprising to me. And hopefully John Graves starts digging graves for opposing quarterbacks. Welcome to the Falcons. 86 speed, 85 acceleration. That is very nice coming off the edge. And if his finesse moves is anywhere in the neighborhood of, say, 75, I think you're pretty happy with that. And I think for where we got him, that seems to be pretty good value, at least as a rotational player. You're talking about a sub-package pass rusher. But, yeah, no hidden dev or anything. And I think we will simulate to the 6th round. See if anyone that we looked at makes it to us. There goes Clayton Belzer out of Toledo, goes to the Lions. And my board is clean except for a fullback, George Espinoza. A lead block, A run block. He's got great speed, elite agility. A lead block, A impact block. We are drafting a fullback, George Espinoza from Mizzou. He's 6 foot 255, and now he's an Atlanta Falcon. 79 speed, 78 strength, 77 acceleration, 82 agility. He wasn't supposed to get drafted, but we gave him a call. And that will end our draft. Linebacker, we have Graves, we have Humphreys. We have Grave Humper. You can see that catching on. And that is our draft. And the moment of truth here. What you are all waiting for. Here are the overalls. And the answer is we did pretty well in the draft. Neil Madsen's to 74. It's a pretty good tight end overall. That really is fairly high. He's already ranked number 36 among all tight ends. So give him an overall booster too. And he's starting on a team somewhere. And he's going to be our backup. Got 79 spectacular catch. Short route running is not too bad. 74 catch in traffic is pretty good. And he's got great traits as well. So I like that. Kyrie Yankee is a 76 overall, who we got in round 2. He is 23, but he's got 95 strength, 73 block shed, 73 power moves, is great out of the draft. 76 speed, good tackle, good play rec. I think he's a really nice grab for us, to be honest. Chat seems to agree. Riley Wheeler, who didn't have the dev trait we were looking for, does have the overall. He's a 74 overall. He looks very good. 92 strength. Run block and pass block are good at 73. Lead block's an 80. Impact block is an 88. He is currently the number 22 ranked left guard in the league. So I know 74 overall doesn't look amazing. He is in the top 18% already of left guards. Just so we know. Miles Terry's a 71. He is purely a rush D tackle. Got 75 finesse moves to go alongside 77 speed, 87 strength, and really good traits. Spin move, bull rush, high motor, big hitter. He's a rush D tackle. But he's also got 73 block shed, which is not really bad. I don't know. That's an interesting player. Deshaun Humphreys is a 73 overall. Run stopper archetype with hidden dev, which we like. 82 tackles, 78 hit power, 86 speed, 87 acceleration. 72 block shed's pretty high. Coverage is not bad. 61 power moves is not amazing, but he's an off-ball player. He's not supposed to be a big-time pass rusher. Tavares Allen's a 70. John Graves is just a 65, but he's a developmental player for us. With 86 speed, 71 finesse moves, 72 block shed. Huh. If we were to move to a 4-3, which he'd be a little bit light for defensive end, but his block shedding's not bad. That's a pretty good-looking 65. And then George Espinoza is a 75. So, really good-looking fullback. Not a position I really ever draft, but I figure if we're actually going to play the games, he could be useful to us. Ends up being pretty good. In the NFL, Dante Boston ended up being a 79. Wasn't even the highest overall player. Max Pollard was an 80. Pure power, not a pass protector. He's got 90 impact blocking, 85 pass block power, so he can protect for Tua. Interesting. Dante Boston's a 79. Of course, hidden dev. 79 power, 78 finesse moves. He's a really good athlete, great strength. 74 block shed. He's a really good player. Does he have superstar X factor is the question. That's what I'm curious about. Survey says, just star. Just star. I got a pretty good feeling that Pollard's going to have superstar based on being an 80 overall tackle. That would be my guess. And he has superstar development. So, I mean, he's really good. We would have been happy with him, right? I would be happy if I got a 79 overall defensive end. But normal dev is obviously not what you want. John Holloman ends up being quite good. See, he had this whole storyline at the start of the year. It even said it in the news section that he and Washington mutually agreed to part ways. Yet he has 94 speed, 86 zone coverage. He's sick. And he's got hidden dev. He's not even a normal dev guy. Not even normal dev. His dev trait is superstar X factor. Well, was never going to draft him, but like, I mean, that goes to show you now that just because they got a negative draft story, the fact that they have a draft story at all might tell you something. Landry Hubbard ends up being a 78. Normal dev. Yikes. He looks good, but yikes. Yikes. That's tough at number 2 overall. Demetrius Griffin from Washington State ends up being pretty good. This wasn't as bad of a draft class as I thought it would be. More man than zone. Kind of an interesting build. No 77 overalls in the entire class. Eric Rushing. Oh my goodness. He was a top 10 player in the draft. Round 4, pick 8. I liked him too. I didn't even see him get drafted. That's a shame. Eric Rushing. I mean, this is somebody I looked at, but obviously don't need running back, but he is a beast. One of the highest overall players in the class. And I didn't show every player's highlights that I ended up recording, but I do want to show you Eric rushing because he does look really good. I didn't think he'd be this good. I thought he might have been like a 71, 72. But we have Bijan and we have Tyler Algier. We don't really care. We don't really care about him. But he is really good. So that it's cool to see one of the top 10 players be a 4th round draft pick. Kyrie Yankee was a top 10 player in the draft. Oh my goodness. I guess that's what 76 overall does for you. And there's a 76 overall tight end down the board with hidden development as well. Yeah, he actually might be the better. He might definitely be better than the tight end we drafted. He's not quite as fast, not quite as athletic, but does have star dev. It's not like that crazy. I might still prefer our guy. If he had superstar, I might have preferred him, but our guy's a better athlete. So that goes for something. A couple of good DBs. Yeah, not a crazy draft class. Quarterbacks end up being okay. 75 overall for Earl Bowden. 96 throw power. Build looks so weird. But, I don't know. What would you guys say? I feel like the draft class, to me, didn't feel like it was that good. But now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't seem that bad. But it still, to me, also doesn't seem that great. Like, none of these players I would be particularly stoked about that we missed out on. I don't know. I feel like a lot of just, like, they're fine. There's George Espinosa in the 6th. Alex Gayton ends up being a 74 overall, by the way. Does have hidden dev. 85 speed, 77 finesse moves. That is good. But yeah, I wasn't thrilled with the draft class. And it was something I could pretty much tell right away. Wow. He's got Superstar X Factor. Okay. All right. Well, you can't know that. Can't know that in the advance. See, that's what I'm saying. It's these random guys are Superstar X Factor. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. The Gazer Beam. Oh, man. But yeah, I felt like it was a pretty good draft for us overall, given the talent that was there. We ended up with a top 10 player. We got him in the 2nd round. That feels like a steal to me, right? We got a 74 overall in Deshaun Humphreys that could start. And we got him in, what, the 3rd round? That's a steal to me. 73. So I feel like we got some huge steals. Yankee was a top 10 player. Where does Deshaun Humphreys rank? Out of curiosity. Number 29 already. That's a starter for a few teams already. With no development. Espinoza ended up being a top player in the draft. He's already the number 6 ranked fullback. I know fullback doesn't really matter, but I feel like given the talent that was there, we mostly did as well as we could have done. And keep this in mind, right? Before you say you should have moved up and traded for, you know, Alex Gayton or Dante Boston or whatever. The 1st round pick that we ended up trading back from has given us Minnesota's 1st round pick next year and a 2nd round draft pick from them. So we'll see if it ends up being worth it. But that's going to do it for this off-season video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you liked it. A ton of work goes into this thing. So subscribe if you're interested in Falcons franchise going forward, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.